Welcome to my channel. On the last video I showed you how to install Umbraco CMS and using the starter kit. So in this video I'm going to show you how we get or how do we use Umbraco models and the models builder, and also how the properties work. I'm also going to explain a little bit about data types and views and how those work. So go ahead, open the project if you are actually following with me. And I'm gonna go ahead and run it, right? I'm gonna go ahead and run it. It should be .NET. I'm gonna go ahead and run it so you guys can see what's happening. So as we wait for that, there we go. Okay, so there you have it, right? This is I made a few changes since last time, just updated a few titles, headings. I added a new blog article or blog post, but nonetheless, I'm going to show you guys how we did that. Okay, so from your installation, the only things that I did was to unpublish the two nodes there, products and people. I don't have that. It's my blog that I want to do, and this is what I'm going to rambling anyway. What I want to show you today is how do you get these and how do these actually work, these data properties here on your document type. How do they translate and how do you see them on your views, right? So for example, some form of description goes here. So I am going to change this. I do .NET. I do all things. Okay, let's do it like this. I do all things .NET software development. There you go. So if I go and save and publish this and I come to my site, it would have updated this software .NET full stack software engineer. I do all things .NET software development, right? So how do you set this up and how does this work, right? How do you set this up and how does this work? So how you go to settings and document types. So each of these content nodes exists as a document type, right? And the document type for this one is home. So you go to settings and then you see you've got document types, media, member, data, and etc. At the bottom, you've got templates, partial views, etc. So what we're focusing on right now is the document types, right? So this document type called home has the different things, header, description. So you go and add these. I had added this one earlier on, so I'm just going to delete it because I'm going to use it as my example. So here already you can add different properties that are there. So you can go and see the different options that you can have: content pickers, text areas, text boxes, check boxes, they're called toggles, etc. There's a lot of these that you can choose and do awesome stuff with. But I'm going to keep it simple in this example. And I'm going to add a text box, right? And this text box, I'm going to call it tagline. Because I just deleted it and I'm going to add it again. So now that I've added this tagline to this, right, it will then appear on the home node. Let's take a look what's happening. Okay, I see the issue. Okay, a thing to note. If you are doing document type changes, don't put it in watch. Rather don't run it as a watch, but run it as document run. Because on watch, because what it does in the background, I'll explain that while it's still loading. What it does in the background is basically when you save, it runs ModelsBuilder. And ModelsBuilder dynamically creates classes that are used, well, they're used in the application. We'll see more about that as I explain more. And because it sees new classes, then it builds again, right? So if you're doing document type changes, just don't put it in, don't run it as with the hard reload. So you see now we've got tagline that we've just added there, right? And we want to be able to render this tagline onto our page, right? And how do we know which page or which view this works with? So your document types, they work with templates. So it's got document type and template. And if you take a look at settings, and you come here to home, you would see that it's got a tab called templates, and you can have multiple templates for the same document type. And this one is home. So if I click on this one, it will take me to the razor view. So if you look at that, it's the path is view and home, and it shows you everything that happens in that. But we're not going to be using that, right? We're going to be using Visual Studio to go and update our things. So if you wanted to see where this actually is, you can come to templates, and you can see that it's aligned like that. So this is your master template, and the rest of your things, they inherit the master template. So, but because this was done, you see it does that, and all of these that actually inherit master, they do actually show in the hierarchy tree when you have created them yourself here in the back office. They will appear like that, but out of the box they'll look the way that they did. I just wanted to show you that so you don't get a fright when you see it, and you've got space for your partials. Okay, cool. That was a quick overview of document types and how, so you can actually create new document types. You've got these, right? You can create all of these, but we'll discuss each and every one of them when the time comes and when it's needed. And then you've got compositions, which are awesome as well. So again, we'll discuss those when the time comes. But now we are talking about how to get properties onto our view. So let's go ahead to Visual Studio, and I already have it opened. So if you remember, I showed you the template. Open it. It's got the path. It's got views, CSHTML views, and then it's this one. So it's already opened. And as you can see, Umbraco is in the view. It's using Umbraco view page, and it's passing the home class, right? And this home class is basically the compiled version. Well, it's a class representing this, or rather, let me say it like this: it's a generated C# file that is based on these properties that are here, right? So now, because they're passing this in here, you have access to all of those values that are coming in there. So for example, if I wanted underneath this description to add or to show tagline, I would do the following. I would say add model dot tagline, right? Add model tagline. Now I would save this file, and I would come in here. Did it save? Oh, it's because now I would need to rebuild. I'm just going to put that at watch right now because I'm going to be doing a bit of. I want it to hard reload because I don't want to keep running it all the time. Take a look. Refresh this one. Close that one. Okay, it did not change. Why is that? Oh, it did not change because I've added nothing, obviously. It's not going to show anything because I have not added anything here. So let's use this. We will make it happy. I save this. I come in here, and then it appears because now I have data. Okay, so this is one way of working with models. When you're passing in the document type, well, the class representing the document type when you pass that in, and then in your view model, in your view, you can just simply say tag model dot whatever the property is. You can also write this, which is a lot more legacy. Model dot value. But you need to do this. Model dot value. If you already know that it's a string and you know the type, just go ahead and put that in there. Now I want to show you something else. All of these, they come with aliases, right? They call them document type aliases. And that's a document type alias. This is a document type alias. They just basically serve as unique identifiers for the different properties. So I can add that in there. When, let's say, if I wasn't using a tightly coupled or strongly typed class there, and I would actually do this, right? Because the current page or the current model of this page will have that. And if I do this, I should see two of them. So I now see two of them, right? Which is basically that. So this is one way of doing it, and that's the other way of doing it, right? This makes things easier for you to retrieve and use them in your view, right? It makes it easier to do that. However, you might not want to always do things this way, right? You might not always want to do things this way. And I'm going to show you the third way of doing things. And since this is an ASP.NET MVC application, you might as well stick to that architectural pattern of your model, your view, and your controllers. So we need view models, right? We would want to create view models. So I'm going to go ahead and start this, right? And what I'm going to do now is we're going to need to add in. We're going to want to use the ModelsBuilder. And we can tell the ModelsBuilder to generate models for us, right? And you can find that documentation in this link, which will be shared in the description of the video. So this basically tells Umbraco to go and generate the models that we want, and we can actually give them a models directory and tell it where to put the models. Right, so that's what we need to do. So, quick things. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in here, but we're not going to do in memory. We want it to be source control manual, right? We want it source control manual. And the reason why we want that is we want to be in control of when to generate the models. You can read more about those. And then you're not going to put in a different namespace. That's going to be the default one. Flag out, take model. No, we don't want that. And we also don't want this one. But what we want to do here is we want this to be true, right? And the reason why we want this one to be true, except unsafe models directory, is because we want to put, as they described it here, they have not described it here, it's described somewhere else. But basically it means when you have, this is the default location where it puts the models. If you had to leave it like this, it would put it there. But if you wanted to put these in, let's say, in a different directory, for example, I created a new project, class library project, .NET 7, and project name, infrastructure. Hope I spelled that correctly. So if we wanted to put our models here, for example, right, in this infrastructure class, we would go one project up and then we would do this. But we would want to put it in a folder, so generated. We want to put it in a folder called infrastructure and then make that generated. Probably want to, it's the name convention, it is what it is. Okay, fine. So if I had to now run this project, what it would do, it would generate the models into that folder, right? It will be the same models as these, but now they'll be generated and added into this project, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And I don't want the watch to run. Actually, I do. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, there you go. That's right. It's this is missing, and that's okay. So what you're going to do is go to settings and then models builder. Now in models builder, if you did this before, I didn't show you before, but it didn't have this button that says generate models because it was in memory. So every time that you made a change, it would change the classes in memory, right? So now what we want to do is we want to generate these models, and now they've generated. So you've got all of these models here, which is awesome, right? So now what we want to do, because we've got these generated here and they exist in a different class, we want to be able to add them as a dependency on this project. Add this guy, select a project, select, and as you can see, it's added, right? However, we still got failures, right, in our project. Let me say no, I'm going to cancel this because I'm going to need it for something else. So if I build my solution now, yes, we're going to see we've got a couple of errors, right? Got a couple of errors, and these errors are in the infrastructure project. And I'm going to show you how to solve them real quickly. Okay, so because these, they need, because they inherit published content, right? and this project has no reference of this, we're going to need to go and add those namespaces, right? So as you can see over here, it's needing this, it's needing that, those packages. So we're going to go ahead and add those packages, but the way I'm going to add them is I'm going to use terminal to go and add them. So let's go ahead, open a new one. So I'm just going to put this one away, because this is the infrastructure one. Then I'm going to say name it package this and something, see what happens. Okay, so we've added that. It's reloading the project, and some of them are gone. But now we also need the infrastructure project, right? Because we don't have that. So again, we mostly just it's just way faster doing it in command line than using NuGet. But if you wanted to add them in your project without using command line, you would say manage NuGet packages, and the same thing applies in Windows, and then go look for them there. Umbraco.cms. Well, I think it's umbraco.cms.core, and then you would add the specific thing. So now when we look at our files, they mostly have this. So let's go and do a build, and then we fixed all the other 600 and something errors, but we've got this one, right? And if you look at this, it says Bergmania, OpenStreet, map, core, blah, 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 blah. And that is actually being used on the Contact Us page, right? On the Contact Us page. And take a look. The project is not running now, but you would see that on the Contact Us page. So let's go ahead and add that package, because we want things to work as they did before. So go ahead and do this, and then infrastructure terminal. Go ahead and add this, and okay, cool. So that's added. We close that now. I don't need it. Reloading the project, and it's happy days. So I built this. Okay, awesome. It's happy now. So there you have it. We have added a library class. Library class library called infrastructure, where we're gonna add all our third-party things to, and we've added that as a reference to this project. Now we need to go start using it, right? Okay, so what we are looking at doing is we want to be able to create a view model, right? So let's go ahead and create a folder called view models. View models. It says there's already one that's there, because I did this before. So what I'm going to do is this, show files. I'll take that and delete it. And then I'm going to delete this one as well. And then we're going to add that new folder called view models. create a new class called home view model. Create. Okay, so we've got a view model. So one thing to note about Umbraco is that if you want to use this in the view model here, it needs to have I publish content. So to do that, we need to inherit our view model needs to inherit content view model, right? And that is using sequence core, and then it comes with a constructor, right? So let's go ahead. We implemented that. Now what we need to do is change this to no longer be home, but to accept home view model, and that is using our namespace, which is supposed to be just this. And we're just going to close this file, and then we'll open it again. And there you have it. So we've got our home view model, and the rest of this is complaining, right? So for the sake of this tutorial or this video, I'm going to comment out a lot of this stuff, and we're going to go and fix those later. Right? Just wanted to compile. So we've got the home view model. So another thing to keep in mind with Umbraco, if you want to use view models, you then need to have your own custom controllers. So Umbraco has a couple of different controllers. You can go check out their documentation. They've got surface controllers, they've got render controllers, they've got API controllers, they've got authorized controllers. But what we want today is to add a new folder first. And we're going to call that controllers. And then those controllers, we're going to add a new class file called home controller. And the reason why we've called it home controller is because Umbraco has root hijacking, and it needs your controller to be the same name as your view for it to work properly. So what we need to do in your home controller, it needs to, remember I said there are different controllers that Umbraco uses. So this one needs to be a render controller. Let's just check, implement the usings, and then we're not going to use this, and we're going to implement the constructor that it comes with. So it comes with that by default, because it inherits all of these things from render controller. It's using dependency injection, so that's why you've got Umbraco uses dependency injection out of the box, so it's got all of these things for you. So now we need to add in an action that when the page runs, or when our website runs, it knows where to go to. So we're going to say action result on action result home. Now you are ready to do it. And then return current template with the current page. So I just want to show you that it will actually hit, right? So go ahead and run your application to just go and test what we've done already so that you can actually see it in action. So I'll put my breakpoint there so that when it comes here, we will be able to actually see it. you go, it's hitting the breakpoint. And the current page, it knows that it's on the current page of home, and it's coming with all the properties that are actually in home that are needed. So you see here, our hero header, description, tagline would be there. So it's got all of those properties that were needed in here. Right? Can I bind models home type model? Why is that? So let's figure that out real quick. And the reason why that is the case is because simply, but what we were testing is not that. We were testing that will it come to our action, and it does. So what you need to do is this now, right? We need an instance of our home view model, but we need to pass in the current page into it. And if we take this, put it there. See, it's accepting our published content. So now if you run it, you should not see the error page of doom. So it's actually good that it did that, so that you could actually see what happens there. So it hits the breakpoint and we run. And there you have it, our site is up and running, it's fine. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to bring this back up again. I'm going to run it like that, because I want the hot reader. Okay, so since we have our home view model, now we can be able to create properties for it that we want. Pass down to our view. So let's go ahead, string, and call that tagline. And then, because now we've got tagline, we can actually come into our view, and we're going to do this model dot tagline, because it's getting it from the view model, because it's bound to that. So now we can get tagline, but our tagline is empty, right? It's empty, it's not being set. And you can set that in a couple of places. You can do that in the controller if you really wanted to. So for example, you could say model dot tagline is equal to current page dot value, like we did before, string, and then you give it the tagline, right? You give it the document address. Just going to do that. So now you've got wisdom, make it happy, right? So that's another way of doing it. So you could do it there, but this is a bad bad way of doing things. Another way of doing it, I'll show you now. But if you are getting information in your controller from different sources and you have to do calculations on certain different things, you can, if you really wanted to do it, you could do it in your controller and then just return the model that you want to return to your view, right? Remember, although we are talking about the home page, this concept can be used for any other page. So you can handle everything that you want to do in your controller if you really wanted to. But there's another way of actually doing this and not having to pass these variables like that in there. So what you would need to do is do this, and then in here you would then make that a private set. And the reason why you make that a private set, so okay, this is not about properties. It's not a video about properties, but when it's a private set, it's read-only, and it can only be set in the class, right? So for example, you can't anymore do this. You can no longer do this. Tagline is it cannot be used in this context like that because it's a private set. And you are restricting the usage of your view model to just the view model. Everything else can view, but they can't go and change and update this, meaning that there's only one true source of this. So, and your constructor is there to construct the object. So go ahead. So what we're going to need to do, what we were doing in here, right? I'm going to say from home is equal to new home. But this home class is this one. This is the one that we want. Right? This is the one that we want. This one, this generated one. This is the one. So we're going to say home and then add that. That is the right namespace and then close. Then we're going to say if home is not now, then go ahead and do what you want. For example, to be tagline is equal to home dot tagline. Right? That's what it would be. But then we have a problem. We need to part the home takes two parameters, content and iPublish value for that. So we already have content, right? But since we are relying on dependency injection, we can just go ahead and add it. iPublish. Let's go ahead and add it. So it's added. It's added. So maybe now we'll make that nullable. So you've got tagline now, right? And then yes. So this one is now complaining, right? Because we've updated that. So we also need that property iPublish value fallback coming in here. And this is where dependency injection is actually happening, not in the previous file. So let's go ahead and get that. So I need So that should be happy now. It's rebuilding that. So that should be happy now. So we're getting our publish value fallback via dependency injection, and we are passing it into the model. And then the model passing it to the template. But everything pertaining to the view model, or what's going to be shown here, it's actually controlled in this one class. So a lot of these you can actually go ahead and start creating them if you really want to do it that way. Succeeded. Then if I come in, well, there's no need to refresh because it's already getting that value. So if I had to prove it to you that it is actually working, so I have to come here and go to home. You go. And there you go, refresh to prove that it's really working. Okay. So that's another way of doing things and looking at things. So you can actually create view models, and you can create your own home controllers, and you can go and control what you go and what you're showing or sending to your views in here. Another cool thing is that you can actually abstract this part away, and the only thing that you would be left with is just adding your properties there. You can actually abstract this away, and you can actually be doing this in the base controller and not doing it here in this view model. And then in your home controller, you can actually just pass in your created model or instance of your home model, or whatever model it's going to be. You would then just pass it as a variable in this home view model. Right? You would pass it there in the constructor, and it would know what to do. But this video is not about that. This video is to show you 3 different ways of getting your values from the back office and adding them into your view model. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to go ahead and finish doing the rest of this, but I hope this helps you in understanding how models work, and how view models work, and how the ModelsBuilder works. Catch you on the next video.